Everybody, how you all doing? I'm your host, Ron. Once again, thank you for watching 3D Talk. Hopefully, all the information that we bring your way, it's informative, and I'm glad that you guys are all here. So right now, what we're doing, we're still waiting on Daniel. Daniel's been delayed due to some problems that he's having. So this is why we're doing this the way we're doing it right now. I'm just waiting for him to be able to get here and join us. Now, if I am loud, I'm just going to adjust my audio a little bit here. So not too loud. There we go. I did sound a little bit high. So I'd like to say thanks to everyone that was here, including One Raz, who just said hello. Thank you very much. And hopefully you guys like this new stuff that we're putting together. So I've done a few things differently. As you can see, we're using a program called StreamYard. I'm not paying for it right now because this is just for demo try. So I can see, people that have said already stuff like Jess Foreman said, "What's up, Ron?" Also, 3D Printing Trucker put a great comment. Always true. Daniel's whenever you're not home, I know. Also, we got some interesting stuff. So, if you want to support the channel, I kind of put a new thing out there. So, we now have Patreon. We also have Streamlabs. And new that we just recently added, it's a Discord channel. So if you guys want to come in, talk or whatever, come on into the Discord and have a look at what we've done, we got some more people coming in. So we got 3D Medic. Thank you so much for joining us. Mr. Buttram, thank you. And Aaron Joe, thank you very much for coming in. And last but not least, we also have Colin, StreamYard. I'm going to give StreamYard a try here and just see what I like about it. And if we don't like it, then we'll switch over to something else. Like I said, I wanted to try this out. And as soon as Daniel comes in, you guys will see what this program can do. It's actually a very interesting program. I haven't done a double screen yet test with him. So we're going to see how this is going to work out. You might get squashed onto one side. But what brings this interesting is that I can do it side by side. If I'm going to do screen share, I can do a screen share option in this. I can do double screen share. So there's a lot of options in this that I do like about this. But like I said, if you guys want to support the channel, those are the ways to support it. Unfortunately, we won't see it in StreamYards showing me the alerts. So I do apologize if I miss any alerts. I do apologize. Something to keep in mind, I was on Social Blade today and I found out we're down to 294. Guys, I want to bring this thing up to at least 300. Do you think we can hit 300 by the end of this week? Starting Sunday to next Sunday, do you think we can hit, this Sunday? Do you think we can hit 300 subscribers? That would be awesome to hit 300. I'd be happy to hit it. If we hit it and when someone unsubscribes, then I will be upset. Yeah, it happens. But you know what? We want to get it up. I want to get it up to 300 here. Let me show you guys what I'm dealing with. So I'm just going to pop this over to a secondary screen here. Full screen. And you guys can do this too at home. So we're going to go into this mode here. And I'm going to share screen. Yeah, I know. Boom. Share. Okay, so here it is. Here's Streamlabs. So I'm going to go into the full live view there. See, it says 295, and in a few seconds, you'll see it drop to 294. Because it did this afternoon. There's it is, 294. What do you guys think? Can we raise that up? Do you think we can get that above, let's say 500? 300? Oh, sorry. I'm so used to this. It's like this way now. So I have to turn my hand the opposite way to point at it. Really? It keeps popping fast forward. Interesting. It could be the program. I don't know. Like I said, we're testing out something new. So yeah, I'd like to get that up to at least 300 if we can this week. But no rush. Yeah, I don't know why it's doing that. I couldn't tell you. I have no idea why it's doing that. Could be a problem with YouTube's analytics. It could be anything, really. But yeah, I'm using this program because I'm going to try to keep Daniel in check. Because as you guys know, uh, Daniel gets on a tirade and then he doesn't see any of the other questions. So this is going to be his viewing screen. He's going to see what I can see. He's not going to have any control over it, but I'm going to have control over what gets viewed, what doesn't get viewed, so that it's all taken care of. Okay, as long as it's not a issue with everyone else, that's what I was worried about. If you were experiencing it because no one else was talking about it. Uh, so Daniel's still out. He had to go out. He totally forgot that. Yeah, it was today. He said, "Oh yeah, that's right. 9 p.m., 8 p.m. my time. That's right." So that was interesting. It was just funny how he mentioned that. Okay, I'm gonna close this off because that's not needed anymore. Okay. Yeah, I understand. So, guys, if you, I just noticed, Heathcliff, thanks for joining the Discord channel. I really appreciate it. So, Discord is going to be where I'm going to do some changes. So, the reason I opened Discord is because Wiley's passed away. We already know this. And yeah, we're still on Wiley's channel and we still talk to Wiley a lot on the channel, talk in his Discord. Unfortunately, it's become the new meeting place. Well, I wanted to move away from that. That's why in Discord, there's a private channel that I set up. People will be added to it. People that are new won't be added to it. It's only because I got to get to know you before I can trust you and publish it to you. There's something called OpenStream. Now, I haven't signed Heathcliff on it yet. I still have to add him to the list. But what OpenStream is for on Discord is going to be the Discord where if I'm doing a Wednesday morning show, that link will be in there rather than always posting it to Wiley's page. I'll still post it in the Wiley's for the time being, but as time goes on, we're probably going to move away from that and post the morning shows on the CMP page. Everybody's almost in it already. If you are interested in joining that Discord, you can. And once I see who you are and I'm able to verify you, you'll be added to that open stream chat areas just to make it easier for us to, log in and say good morning to everybody and, have some good conversations and, you know, doing it. But yep, that's happened. Now, I don't know if I want to use StreamYards for this or if I'm going to use Wirecast or I'm going to look around. Definitely going to look around, see what's available. Now, before anybody goes on and says, what about Twitter fiasco that happened? I'm not even going to tap into that. That is a different discussion altogether. Some of you already know it. Some of you seen it on Twitter. I have no freaking clue what was said. I did find the video. I caught the last 20 minutes of it, and it's pretty well shows you I don't know what the heck happened there. I'm not going to get into it on this, guys, because honestly, that's should be discussed in private with the rest of you guys. And Yeah, it was interesting. That's why I tagged you guys in it. The ones that know about it were tagged. That I knew on Twitter that know him, know what was going on, might have some insight. It was pretty crazy. So, yeah, even Mr. Buttram. I forgot to show this to everybody. So, I got some interesting thoughts on the CR10. A video I posted out to a few people show my CR10 still having the issue where it goes 5 degrees higher and then drops to 200 and then drops to 195. Now, I am definitely going to take that printer in. There's something called out here in Cambridge, in the Kitchener Waterloo area, called Quartz Lab. It's going to go to that makerspace, and we're going to try to figure out what the heck is causing this. What's your thoughts on supporting the mortar shaft ends with bearings? And this was my printer's result. I really have no answer to that. I've never done that myself. Supporting mortar shaft ends. When I think mortar shaft, I'm thinking like the drive shaft of a car. I'm not thinking of what shaft you're talking about. You're talking about the actual you're talking like just to support the um what's the word I'm looking for? You're talking like stepper motors, or just need a little bit more clarification on that one. I do apologize. Yeah, 3D printer, you did miss the drama's still going on Twitter. It went for a little while. A lot of people that watched that stream know what I'm talking about. That was another thing I was thinking. It could be the MOSFET that's going bad. That was another thought that I had. I have three things I think it could happen. Number one, it could be the actual heating cartridge. I just ended up with a bad heater cartridge. Possible. Number two was, well, maybe I'm dealing with a power issue. I'm not getting enough power um to it, or something's going on with the power supply is causing that issue. That's the third one. Okay, the end mortar passed the sprocket, the stepper for the X and Y. Okay. Camera past the sprocket, stepper for the X and Y. Okay, well, if it's worked on other printers, I say go for it. It sounds like this is more of a, if it works, go for it, try it. Um, I don't know if bearings die. I know bearings can die if they are overworked, but if you use like a half decent bearing, you should be okay, I would think. Can't see that being an issue. Honestly, I don't see there being an issue with that. Hey, Mr. Brennan, I'm going to send you a message over on Discord. Just out of curiosity. Okay, I just sent that off to you, Mr. Butterman. Just want get some information. I'm already starting to do one of the prints anyway, so. I don't have another power supply to swap it out with. That's the thing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take it over to my makerspace out here in the Kitchener-Waterloo area. We're going to test the power supply, make sure there's no issues. Then if they have a printer that's apart or whatever that we can take out the MOSFET, test it on another printer, we will do that then. And the guys are all excited to try this because they want to see what the heck is going on because they've heard stories about what's going on with my CR10. And I just said, yeah, all the stories are true. I have no idea what's going on with this machine. So I'm going to go over there this Tuesday, talk with them, see if I can bring the printer in and just have us tear apart the printer and see what's going on and see if it's a power supply or if it's a MOSFET. If it's a MOSFET, that's a lot of money. If it's a printer, power supply, that's not too bad. That's easily affordable. But yeah, I want to see what's going on. Hey Gunnar, how was the video that our friend at Maker Noob did? How was it? And welcome to the channel. Here's something here. I tried, Joe. I mean, there's nothing that says you can and cannot do things. You know, I mean, if it works, it works. I haven't played around with bearings enough to say whether it will be better or worse. I'm not played around with bearings enough to say. And that's why I'm waiting for Daniel to get in here because Daniel has or may know about a few things that you may want to take in mind. Granted, I know he's not here yet. He is coming, as I said. Just got to know on Facebook. Hang on. Okay. Yeah, it's nothing important. Sorry. I don't think it's the wiring. That I'm like almost 100% sure because there is power going to it. So that first made me go, okay. Heating cartridges gain power. That's why I'm kind of leaning away from the heating cartridge. And that's what kind of made me think, because a lot of people are saying, oh, it's your thermistor that's bad. I don't think it's a thermistor because it's getting a reading. I'm thinking its heating cartridge was not heating it properly, but then I thought about it a little bit more and I was doing some research. It actually comes to two items. It's either power supply or MOSFET. The wiring, if there was a problem with the wiring, I would already have problems with it anyways. I would have something going on there. I would have either no heat or a lot of heat or it'd be overheating. Those are the three things I'm not seeing on that. The wiring, it was wired properly. I know that. I soldered, I crimped, I did everything that was required to bring the wire to the connection, soldered it, and did the heat shrink, the whole 9 yards. Everything's on perfect on that. That's why I am thinking that there is a problem either in two sections. I'm thinking MOSFET or power supply. Now, it could be wrong. It could be neither of those. Could be something else altogether I'm not even taking into consideration. And, you know, sometimes that can happen. We had a broken MOSFET on one 3D printer. An electronic guy found it and replaced it. Cost was €2 for a few months. Well, that's pretty damn good pricing then. Because last time I looked at a MOSFET, I think it was like $20 or something like that. And I'm hoping it's just the MOSFET just somehow freakishly died. By the way, how you guys liking the idea of seeing the messages come up on the video? Is that something you'd like to see me continue? Let me know. Well, that's good to hear, Gunner. So I would like to know, you guys, how are you liking the idea of me displaying stuff on the screen? If you like what we're doing, remember, hit the thumbs up. And remember, there's many ways to support the channel: Patreon, Streamlabs, and you can join our Discord channel. Sorry, guys. Having too much fun with this stuff. Hey, everybody. Look who just got here. Rover says hi, and he says hi to everyone in the channel. So thanks, Rover. Thanks for coming in, buddy. We appreciate that. We're still waiting on Daniel. Daniel got delayed. I think the print just finished. So I'm not going to just have my printer just beep at me saying print done. Yeah, hang on. No, got some idea. Granted, I know that, but your heating cartridge should stay at a relative temperature, and I'm not seeing that happening. Now I know it can. Now I know there is voltage that goes up and down for the heating cartridge, but I'm getting like rapid 5 up, then 5, then 10 down, or then 10 up, and then 10 down. So I'm not sure what's causing it to go into that heating situation. And I'm starting to think, I don't think thermistor. I'm almost 90% sure it's not the thermistor. I'm like 60% sure it's not the heating cartridge. I'm like at 60%. By some fluke of knowledge, I might screwed up somewhere. And if I did, oops, my bad. But I'm tending to not think that. I'm tending to think, it's basically something else. And I've done a PDI tune on that too, because as soon as you said PDI tune, I've already done that, and it's still doing it. I got that. It got worse after doing the PDI tune. I was only going off by 3. Now I'm off by 5. 5 from top, 5 from bottom. So I'm stumped. And this is an E3D hot end, and I did follow everything I can think of. So I'm going to send an email out to E3D, see if there's something I'm missing. I'm also going to get this printer looked at and see if there's something going on. That is a possibility I thought about too. But if I got it from E3D, from Printed Solid, and I trust what Printed Solid usually gives me. I've never had a problem with them before, but it could be, well, when I see smoking or some type of other problem, if it was the wrong heater cartridge I got on there. Because they did ask what printer I'm using. I said it's CR10, and they said, okay, you're going to need a 12-volt cartridge. I'm like, okay, that makes sense. And it says, how many PDI tunes did you run? More than I can count. Let's see, when I first start doing this PDI tune, sometime in November, I think I started this, and I got it all together. Ran into a couple times. I was getting inconsistent runs, but then I started getting what was called and I started trying to do a few prints, and I was running into the same problem again. I think I ran about maybe 10 PDI tunes, like 2 sets of 3s. And then I ran 4 more idea runs through it just to see if I could get it any tighter, because I wanted to see how tight I could get the tune up to. And I got it at good speed. Like, that printer now heats up really nicely, but as soon as it hits that number, 200, then it still keeps on climbing, and then it drops. PDI cycles were 3. Sorry, PDI cycles were by threes. And I set it to heat up at 210 to 210 degrees Celsius. I don't usually print anything hotter than that, but now that I've gotten into printing with this stuff, the Fuel 3D Pet G, which this stuff, if you haven't read the review, watch it. It's actually pretty impressive stuff. I am sold on Pet G now from these guys. Hardly any stringing, works great. Put it in the printer, works every time. Good stuff. Yeah, well, I did it twice. I did the 3.3s, and then I was doing it. Then I wanted to test something else, and then I went back and was tuning it again. Yep, that's it. 303, C3, C. That should be 210. Yeah, I think that's the right code I punched in, actually. Oh, let me turn this on. This one right here. Did you set the thermistor type in the firmware at the build time? Yes, I did. There are instructions on how to set it up. And what was kind of interesting is that also inside, now I'm running the TH3D firmware, okay? And I'm just letting you guys know, because if I try to run straight Marlin, it craps out on that printer. It will not load it. I have tried everything I can think of, removing certain items, removing useless information, everything. I cannot get that thing down enough that it will accept it on the that'll accept it in the memory. So I just kind of then threw up my hands up, whatever. Yep, everything from E3. It's a whole E3D thing. See, I've done it. Everybody told me to preheat first. Then, once it's done its first tune, then you start cold and have it go through the thing again. So the first PID tune was with it cold. Second time I did it with the heat. Sorry, first time heat on. I heated up I heated it up to 200. Did a PID tune times 3. Pushed it to 210, and then it turned out okay. Then I started noticing this weird flux of power, like weird temperature up and down. And I thought to myself, well, it's that fan, because that fan is super noisy that I had on the front to keep the cold thing cold. So I've gone over to, yes, I know what you guys say. I'm blah, blah, blah. I went over to to Nachua, which is just so much better. It has improved the quality of noise issue I was getting from that printer. It's like I have the old CR10 back when I first bought it. The fan on the front was always quiet, which is something I like. Sorry, the Nachua fan is a 40 by 40 millimeter fan, which pushes enough air to keep it cold enough. So I did do the research. Yeah, I've done the Marlin sketch from Fresh too. You guys can watch the other videos we've done. Me and Daniel did a Fresh install of Marlin 1.1.9 vanilla. and then we added in a few extras, and all it did was just cause me headaches in the printer. Every time I finished a print, it would crash. The heater would stay on when it crashed. So at the end of the print, the head would go back, the item would come forward, but the heater would stay on the bed. I had a lot of issues getting prints off my bed because it kept the print heat bed on. And this was so straight, fresh install of Merlin. It's because it took too much memory in it. Even when I went down for the dial to change something, the screen would freeze. And then everything would lock up. It didn't matter what I did. The printer locked up. So I went, fine, whatever. Went to TH3D, filled in all the information, ran the printer the first time, ran great. With the regular factory nozzle, everything was running great. Had a few little hiccups, but all in all, ran great. So then I said, fine. Walked over to the printer and said, okay, not going to put in the Merlin because Merlin was just way too much information. And I'm talking we stripped out everything out of that. We stripped out startup script. We ripped out the information script. We ripped out almost everything. It was like almost there was nothing left of Merlin. Just bare bones. And yeah, yeah, I know about that. And that's why I went with the 40 millimeter fan versus the original 20 millimeter fan. The 40 by 40 fan actually pushes enough air. Like if I put my hand behind it, I can feel some of that air blowing, and I can feel there's the same amount of air I'm getting from some of these stock powerful 7500 something. I forget what the air pressure is, and the Noctua fan is putting out the same amount of putting out the same amount of air, so I'm not noticing it that way. Trust me, a lot of people said Noctua fans don't push enough power, and I went, yeah, no, I can agree. So I have no idea what's going on with Daniel. He's still out. He said he'd be back soon, but he hasn't replied back to me yet. So we'll just have to continue on waiting. Uh, anybody have anything new in the 3D printing community they're working on? What is it? Don't know what happened there, but somehow Discord decided to log into the voice chat room. I'll look into that. I heard we'll go bing boom. Well, a little bit of that, yeah. It's the hot end is not responding. I'm not getting any good anything not coming, like it's just not working. I can get a print going. I have had it extrude plastic. I've had it put out prints. The prints look okay. They're just a little bit under extruded because I haven't done any of the other work yet that needs to be done. But at the same time, it's like, yeah, sorry. It's like, well, I would like to get this thing first to lay down plastic and not have this under over issue. Once that's figured out, then I can go and do the rest of the stuff that needs to be done. Yeah, how was Prague? Anyways, I heard a lot of talk about it, but didn't see any real videos as of yet. How was it? What did you see? Was it a lot of fun? Did you see all the YouTubers around there? I know Maker New was there. I know CNC Kitchen and Tom were there, and I know who else was there too? Yeah, the 40-40-20s. That's what I'm using. Yeah. For the White's Mini Army Jeep. Okay. Wait, plan on going to war, Joe? Yeah, Adam was there. Yep, I heard about that. Yeah, Joe and Adam. Yep. What was interesting is I know Joe brought his wife with him to Prague, so that was kind of interesting. The carton board. Yeah, I am using that. No, I'm using the 40-40-20. That is correct. That's the ones that because I remember me and it was me, Wiley, and I forget who else was on. I think it was D was on. And we were talking about Natura fans and which one's the best one to look at. And he said, yeah, go with the 20-20-10s. Okay. Okay, looks like we got Daniel back. Okay. Uh, so Daniel just messaged me. He's coming in right now, so we should have him on soon. Including inconsistent PID behavior. PIDs properly. That's the funny thing. I am actually thinking of going and just getting a which means we may also have one other person coming in that I also invited. So I'm actually looking at maybe just dumping it and just getting rid of the board altogether and go with the SKR. Go with the SKR board. I think it's 1.3, 32-bit board. Plop that in the CR10. Was another option on my to-do list. Just say screw it, just buy an SKR board, plop that baby in, then plop in, get some traumatic drivers, probably 2208s, drop those on the board, and then go pick up a touchscreen and just go all crazy on the CR10 and get that CR10 purring like a baby, get that thing purring like a kitten. The other object I thought was maybe there's a board issue that I'm not taking into consideration, but that is a very, very rare. But then again, these are Creality boards, so who knows? Creality, we know that they do some weird stuff. We know that they've done some stuff that's uh made a lot of print people like me paranoid by what they do. Especially when they did that ending, started sold it off to a third company and they started crimping all the ends. Ooh, that got me scared. Yep, I am doing a 500 then a 501. M500 then I believe is M503 to verify that it's there, and I do see it there. And then it's 501 I think is reset. And then I go 503 just to make sure it's in there and it's the same number. So yeah, because that's what I was thinking of when you said that the KIP. Yeah, I have done that. So Yeah, it's a weird issue. I haven't nailed it down what could be causing it. I do agree with you. It could be a memory issue. Um, I agree with that because I know the memory issue. Don't kid yourself. I've gone through hell and back. I've sent it on to forums, and people in the forums are just going, "What did you do?" I don't know. It just does weird things. So hopefully we'll get some more people. We'll get some chatting going on here. Don't see anything else coming in. Let's have a look here. Notifications. Any notifications to me? Nope. So yeah, it was a lot of people are commenting still on that. To me and Barnclays, this is not good. Sorry guys, I just got my thing went off. No, no. There is memory issues inside the CR10. The CR10 board can only hold up to 2 megs worth of information. When you compile the firmware and it compiles it, it's actually hitting 98 to 99% when you use the standard Marlin version. And that is causing an issue. That's why I'm using TH3Ds, which is down to 92 percent usage of the memory that's available on the EEPROM. Yeah, I think we would all like to do that too. I mean, I love to get the White Knight and just have it in an area because that would be awesome to have. And honestly, I would like to look at it and just, play with it and just see how it prints. But at the same time, it's the budget. Budget is a big thing. It's also ordering all the parts. I think the parts came out to $500 to buy a kit, which I know that he's worked with Printed Solid to bring out, but I don't know if he's got if he's gotten all that taken care of. I know that he was printing a big, huge sword. He printed the what sword did he print again? I think it was the from the Avengers. I think he printed the what sword did he print recently? Sword for oh crud. It's on the tip of my head. It's on the tip of my tongue too. Yeah, can't remember it now. But yeah, no, I would love to build on. I'd love to take that and just build the Buster Sword. The Buster Sword is from a video game called Final Fantasy. If you guys never heard of Final Fantasy VII, you may have been under rock in the gaming world. It was the sword of swords. I'd like to give that a shot on the White Knight, but I have a feeling they've already done the Buster Sword already. But yeah, no, I'd love to give it a shot and try printing some stuff on that. But it's the cost. The cost is very expensive. It is an expensive proposition to buy one. But like I think what Ben said, he wasn't looking to make money at it, but I was like, dude, you got something here that can make money. And I know that he was kind of iffy on it. It's all open source now. I get that, but yeah, it was interesting though. I think Daniel's having issues getting in. Well, not yet. I haven't seen him say anything. Daniel, if you're in the chat, say hi to everybody. Let them know you're still around. Let's see. Yeah, no, I personally myself, I would love to have one. That's what may happen is when I talk to the guys at the KW, they might want to get their hands on one and play with it. So they might have the budget to build one. If they want to build one, well, I did a video talking about it. covering the whole thing, the build, the idea. I love it that was built in Microsoft 3D Builder. If you guys have never heard of Microsoft 3D Builder, it's an excellent little build tool that you can get. It's free from Microsoft. I know you guys are going like, what? Microsoft? No, they don't make good stuff. Oh, let me pull up 3D. I think I still have 3D Builder in my new system. Cause I like it a little bit. Oh, they changed it. No, that's Paint. What happened to 3D Build? 3D BUILD. Oh, 3C. What the heck? That's why I want you to open. I said open up that. Thank you. Move this to my other screen so I can show this to you guys. Yeah, it does take time to build it. So if you guys never seen 3D Builder, let me show it to you. No, but that, and we're going to do this one, and we are going. There we go. Okay, so this is 3D Builder. So your platform starts here. What I like is you get measurements. So 240, 200 millimeters that way, and then you can know how you're building that way. Something that I know you can drop down a ruler in Tinkercad, but I kind of like this way a little bit better. Kind of gives you more of a control look of it. And there's a lot of things they did right in this, and then they abandoned it. So if you look at what version this is, they give you the option to have things like if you wanted to have them printed by somebody, you can have them print by somebody. You know? And it's such an easy program to use. I mean, there you go. Insert. There's all your inserts that you can use. Hexagon, spear. Not sure what that is. Treasure dome. Objects. Edit. Paint. So you can change the color of the object if you don't like the color of the object to help you design it better. View. You can do like a lot of nice little tricks with this. I like looking at wireframes. Don't tell me what. Don't ask me why. I just like looking at the wiring ideas. Grid. It's powerful enough to do what it does, but it doesn't do it well. Let's just put it that way. It's a shame that they never really rebuilt it or, got it back to what we wanted as the community goes, Yeah, it has come a long way, but then Microsoft all of a sudden went, whatever. And they just dropped it. It was like, what do you mean you're not bringing that back? And they said, well, there wasn't enough people wanting it. I'm like going, we wanted it. We wanted a good program for Microsoft. And then Microsoft goes, nah, poo poo, bye bye. Why? It had enough power that it would rival Tinkercad. Now, I don't know if that was one of their ideas. As they said, well, there's something better. Tinkercad has a little bit more. And they've been implementing this and they've been working on it, and we don't want to get in the field. If that was their idea, I would want to wring their necks because there's a lot of power in that, like this, which I built in Tinkercad mostly. But to get this logo done right, I had to build this, take it from a picture, put it into 3D Builder, and work on this before I was able to import as STL over to Tinkercad to do the typing and to get this size right, because Tinkercad was giving me because in 3D Builder, when you're building a flat plate like this, it will warp the bottom, warps the top when it's turned to an STL. It does some weird stuff, and it's just like, I didn't ask you to turn it in a globe or do this. But because I had this in I had a basis idea in Tinkercad, I was able to get this all printed out in Tinkercad. But I would have liked to have the Microsoft fonts that are available in 3D Builder to be on here. But the problem was I didn't know what size I was going to need. I did not know how I wanted it designed. But yeah, you can do. I could take this, extrude this, and this out of there, and then redesign this plaque. But then I would have something like a wave, like not a flat surface. Same with the back, I have a weird surface. Also, that keyhole would be gone. And that keyhole took me. I would like to get my head around Fusion 360. I agree with you. I have an issue where, let's throw it up there. I suffer from ADHD. Okay, so my learning is a little bit wonky from other people. A lot of people, when they watch me learn, they're like, I'm not okay. Well, yeah, I suffer from ADHD. It's a form of learning disability I have, and I gotta learn it a different way than what most people can just, watch a video and be okay with it. I need to watch a video. I need training. I need someone that knows what they're doing with it to get my head from point A to point B, because I used to do this. As I hang this up here, and it doesn't want to hang now. Also, later, Gunner, have a good night's sleep. Hopefully you feel better. And yeah, I'll have this still up after it's done. So let's go back and watch it. When I started learning design and everything else, it was by two things: pencil. Well, this is a pen, and a block of paper. And we used to sketch everything out. Like you would draw where you want this angle to be. This would be a left angle. This would be a right angle. And then you would design the actual thing. You'd sketch it out. Then you write like 15 there, 25 here. This would be 3 by 3/8. And then you would write down everything that you would be using. How many nails, what drill bits you would need. Like drill bits. What type of screws are you going to need? What type of this are you going to need? Like, this is my toolkit I use for when I'm doing any work around the house. But anyways, I'm digressing here. Anything like that was my toolkit. And I would go first do that. Do the sketching, understand, because I used to do woodworking. My dad liked to do carpentry off to the side. I started learning a little bit more about carpentry, but what bothered me is I was not a big fan of power tools. Granted, I know that sounds weird, but I kind of like holding the saw, cutting through the wood, I like the idea of using a hammer, then using a circular saw. Let's just put it this way: I saw kids in my school lose digits. And even though I was not worried about doing that, I was worried I would be stupidly careless and do that. So that's why table saws and that type of thing were, circular saws were not my thing. Hand tools were my thing. And we learned to build stuff not using a computer. This used to be all done by hand. And when you're building stuff by hand, you tend to look at stuff and you go, okay, well, we have a block 4x4. And I want to turn that 4x4 into 3 levels. The height of that is, say, 10 feet. So I would measure 3 3 3s, and then I'd go 3 3 3 and a third, 3 and a third, 3 and a third, and 3 and a third and a half, or 3 and a third eighth. And that was the type of drawing I used to just sketch it out with a pen. We didn't have Fusion 360. We didn't have any of that. And when I sketched out a design I was trying to sketch by hand and showed it to my friend, he's like, well, that's not right. That's not 3D building. I'm like, but that's the way I know how to sketch it. So, and what he said was not 3D based. Once I put it in the computer screen, it looked exactly the same as I drawed it. I had all the measurements of how much I wanted it, everything done. And I guess my friend's never seen a wood, like just sketching it out on paper, because he was taught how to use Fusion 360, how to use all those other programs. And I don't think he's ever had to sketch anything out to understand how I can see it, how I would do it. And I still do to this day. I will still pick up my pad of paper. Sure, my paper's plotted. And I will sit there and I will sketch the living Jesus out of whatever I'm going to build. And I will have points pointed to it. Like it'll say something like 10, the arrow 25, arrow 14, arrow 91, arrow here 72, and it's all pointed out so that when I'm looking at it, I know, like, if I take that item and I was to put it into Tinkercad, I know that's 10. I know that's 15. I know that's 18. I know that if I flip it this way, that's going to be 22. And I can see from the sketch what I'm putting out on there. It's just the way I have to learn. So, yeah, I'm still waiting for Daniel to get in here. I don't know what's going on. Let's see if he's... So I'm just seeing what's going on. It sounds like he's home now, but still just making sure he can get in the chat. So we've gone. So how many thumbs up have we gotten so far, guys? Just out of curiosity. So just remind you guys, we do have the Discord channel now set up. If you aren't on Discord already, please do. We also have the Patreon, which I don't really promote too much, but we do have it now. So if you guys want to be a Patreon, just go to the link in the description. It's also down below too. So if you can't type it in fast enough, all links are down below in the description. Same with Streamlabs. We have Streamlabs up and running. If you want for a few bucks their way, you can. That's a one-time donation idea. It just helps, really. So I'm not hearing anything from Daniel, so I'm getting a little concerned here. Sorry, guys. It's true. Well, I remember that we were also planning on, making this a big thing. So I'm just going to check something here on YouTube. Okay. So we got 3 thumbs up. And how many people we got watching? 7? Come on, guys. Really? Oh. So, guys, remember, thumbs up the video. What that does, it actually, you guys may not understand what thumbs up does, but it actually pushes the video in the YouTube algorithm. So, the algorithm works in such a way that if I get thumbs up, it puts me higher in a tier and gets this video noticed. That's why I also throw in pound 3D talk, pound 3D printing, pound usually something else, but I didn't have anything to put in this one. what those do is they actually trigger YouTube to categorize this, and it knows what category to throw this into. It knows where it's going. It's actually a lot of cool options. If you play around with it enough, you'll see that there's a lot of really cool options when you use that pound button. Also, not to take for granted, I believe this Saturday, I want to say, I think it's this Saturday that Mr. Buttram will be doing his Saturday night hangouts that he does with the other YouTubers around here. So if you guys are interested in that, there is that happens every Sunday. So we're looking forward to that. I know you guys are all waiting for Daniel to get in here. Even I am. So we're waiting on Daniel. But yeah, when I designed that plaque that's somewhere around here. Yeah. Wait. There. That video is up on YouTube. So you guys can watch me go around designing a plaque. And yeah, I want something that says, NBA champions 2019, Raptors, yay, you know. But I didn't want to brand it Raptors or brand it Toronto Raptors. I just branded it We the North. Because We the North is kind of like a slogan for the Raptors. Because everybody in Canada follows. Because the Raptors are the only basketball team we have up here. So, it's one of the things. I mean, up here we would say for any hockey team, baseball team, but Raptors, they're the only Canadian team we got left. Baseball, it looks like we may get the Tampa Bay is talking about leaving Tampa, playing half a season in Tampa, then the other half in Montreal, which is a weird mix. But if they did that, that'd be kind of interesting. Different, but interesting nonetheless. Don't know if I can get behind that, but it would be interesting. But yeah. So Twitter's now kind of died down finally. But everybody is now we're talking about the video Brian Vines did. Speaking of Brian Vines, if you're not a subscriber to him already or you never heard of Brian Vines, check out his YouTube channel. Go to Brian Vine, go to BV 3D in YouTube. You'll find him right away. And if you're not subscribed already, subscribe. He just hit the 1,000 mark. So, applaud to him. I don't know if he's watching the video or he's not. If he is, man, congratulations, buddy. You did it. You actually hit the number that everybody wants to hit. And I'm proud of you, man. I really am. And I think a lot of us are jealous. But a lot of us are happy that you hit that mark. But let's see what's going on. Other information here. So I got contacted a few weeks ago. Hey, John Mack, thanks for coming in, buddy. I do appreciate you coming in also. So let's see here. I'm trying to pull up my email I got a few months back. It was just after we got back from from ANET AMAT sent me this stuff. Let me just pull it up here. Okay, open. No, I want you to open it. Can you open it? Okay, you can open it that way. Okay, well, we can show it in an email. Minnesota Maker, thank you for coming in, buddy. So this is a new program we're using. We're testing out Streamlabs. I'm just waiting for Daniel to get in whenever he gets a chance. So I want to show you guys this, actually. Let's go share my screen again. Yep. Application window. Oh, I can do that? Good. Let's do that. Boom. Okay, no. Let's go that way. There we go. So this was what they sent me. This is for a new ANET that they're selling. This is the ANET A+. Gee, what does it look like? Any guesses? Well, in my knowledge, this looks like a clash between a CR10 and an Alpha Wise. So apparently it is a build size of 300 by 300 by 350. So very similar to what the CR10 can do. They've upgraded their structure, so they made it stronger and better. And here's the nice thing. They actually put in a overcurrent protection on their power board. This is something that's been setting their printers on fire. They finally put in an upgraded motherboard. Still, with it being a Chinese motherboard, I don't know how I feel about that. I mean, it's great that they're thinking about these things, but that's good. They have a filament. They upgraded their filament loading, which is kind of nice. Yeah, just a fuse, exactly. But it's nice that they put it in there. You got it. That was a little bit nice that they did that. Let me just check something here, guys. Copy the clipboard. So pre-PLA, ABS. So they have the pre-settings in there, which is kind of nice. Close this up. And that's what it does look like. I have to agree with you, John Mark on that one. It does look like an automated fuse. Upgraded the assembly. So at least they are no longer using plastic parts. The one nice little thing I think is the look of this. It looks a lot cleaner than what it used to look. They actually have a cover on their board over here. Let me get a better view of that board. Right there. There's their board where all your wiring goes into. I don't know if you guys can see me circling it. Hopefully you guys can. This I'm happy they put in. So let's get some really close-up shots of this thing. Is it direct drive? Yes, it is actually. I think so. Which is another bonus I do like about it, you know? But there's the power brick right there. Looks like they're using looks a lot cleaner than any other ones they've ever brought out. I will say that. Yeah, it looks like it's direct drive. Right there. Direct drive. Well, I think that fan is just for the keep the cold cold. And the other fan is for cooling. So because right there we are seeing the hot end right here. So I don't have a palette to the plug in there. Oh, there he is. Let's add our friend. AKA Techie Filler, AKA Daniel, to the channel. Hey Daniel, how you doing?
Here we are. Hey, I'm doing great.
Yeah, so we are testing this on the new program that we got. So you want to go into your settings and change your video to at least say a 720p because you're coming in pretty low.
All right, let's try this.
Settings, and you should see the option to go 720.
Yes, 720p. How's that looking?
Looking a lot better.
Good.
So guys, everybody, it's Daniel Techie Fiddler. So how you doing, buddy?
Doing all right. I've been pretty busy.
Yeah.
Started work at a new place down about 40 minutes south of my house, so a little bit of a drive, a little bit of a commute, I guess. But it's the fact that it gets working at 6:30 a.m. That's the not fun part. So I have to be up at 5 a.m. every day.
Oh
Not a
boy.
lot of energy left for 3D printing and stuff when you have to get up at 5 a.m. Hey, Minnesota maker.
So how you liking the new system that we putting in now?
I'm liking this. It's pretty cool. I like being able to see the chat pop up the way it does.
Yeah, so yeah, we can do a lot of things here. So I'm just showing off the ANET A8 Plus. It's a new printer. We figured out it's probably direct drive. What do you think by looking at that?
Yeah, I don't see Bowden, and it looks like there's enough room in there for a motor. I would guess it would share most of the extruder components with what was on the A8, which was direct, was it not? I think it was direct.
I believe it was, yeah, because when I scrolled up, sorry, scroll in.
Yeah, that's direct. Honestly, direct makes a lot more sense for like a i3 style printer, I think.
Yeah, right there you can see that there is no Bowden anywhere on that. So yeah, it looks a lot cleaner than their old system did.
Yeah, that doesn't look too bad, honestly. That looks quite workable.
Yeah, so I love
running for rails on the y-axis. Looks like some decently beefy. Are those 8mm rods, or are they 10mm?
They're 10.
10. Hey, that's a welcome change.
Yeah, it's not plastic anymore. It's not fiberglass. It's actual metal.
You know what? That doesn't look half bad.
No, and the specs are pretty good too. 400 by 400. Sorry, 300 by 300 by 350.
Okay, so about the same as like the Fultratech FT5, and yeah, kind of a CR10 competitor directly.
Yeah.
Look at the style of bolting in that 2040 frame. It's really trying to take down the CR10 crowd.
Yeah, and I like that the power supply, and I like how compact it is.
Yeah, I like how they stack that up.
Have the tight, like it doesn't have that tightness like the CR10 did, where we have to have a brains with the actual printer. Everything is compacted down. There's the brains on that side.
Exactly. Yeah.
There's another side view of it for you. Oh, before we got seen that one. So this is something that ANET sent out to me. They thought I was a distributor, so the guys weren't paying attention when I said no. I am a YouTuber. But look in there, that power block looks pretty good, and they've upgraded the motherboard according to them. So it now has like an automotive fuse on it, is what we think.
Nice. That'll be nice. I wonder what kind of board's in it. Might be something custom. They certainly have the numbers, the quantity to do it. Yeah, the bed connector.
Yeah, that's a question right there. It's that bed connector.
That was what really threw a lot of issues on the original A8 was bed connector and bed wiring in general.
Or just catching on fire in general for no apparent reason.
Yeah.
Let's see if I can pull up that.
I always recommend either get real ferrules and real like connectors, or solder, like
So
legit silver solder everything that's got lots of current flowing through it.
Doesn't say what it supports. It doesn't say if it's a Marlin based or if it's non-Marlin based.
Yeah, at least it supports normal G code. I would guess Marlin, because that's what their engineers are probably familiar with.
Yeah, but it says right here, like software Kira.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Almost everybody is on Kira nowadays, it seems. I know you don't like Kira.
So Kira 4 is a bit of a mess. What's that? Scroll down. Scroll up again. Let's look at those lead screws. You guys know how I am with lead screws. I'm very picky. Zoom in on that that upper right illustration.
Can't, unfortunately. Page. This is a PDF. It won't allow me to zoom in.
Okay.
Yeah. What I can do, if I have the option to do that, I'd have to look for it. No. I'm going to turn off screen share for a second here. While I pull this up. I'm going to see if I can open this and get the PDF to open properly. Okay, we'll use that then. Full screen. Back. There we go. Oops, wrong window. Share screen. Okay. Application. Entire screen.
Yeah, Matthew Wilson is saying that the old A8 used Repetier. Now that I'm thinking about it, that may be the case. I think it was an old version of Repetier firmware, which is interesting, given that there aren't as many newfangled. Yeah, there we go.
So it's
positioning accessories. Oh boy. Yeah, that mod number 1 right out of the gate. You want to bore that out so that the lead screw. It's concerning that they call it a threaded rod, but you know how it is.
Yeah.
It doesn't touch at the top. Get a little bit of clearance. There's no telling how straight those rods are going to be. So.
Yeah.
Oh well.
Well, they haven't sent it out to anyone to test, so I'm a little bit,
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe the tooling can be changed at this point.
Yeah, repeat. Thank you so much for posting that out. Sorry I didn't pop it out when I had a chance.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think he's right.
Yeah, it's hard to say.
I've never owned one personally.
It looks good.
Yeah.
I mean, the fact that they upgraded the motherboard. Let's go to the motherboard here.
I mean, it's about time, right? Oh, here we go.
Look at that.
Yeah. I wonder, can you zoom in at all on what that main processor is? I'm really curious. I see a whole bunch of interesting things on the board. For one, I see a micro SD card reader built in. That's peculiar. I also see something with a heat sink on the left side that has a lot of pins.
That's the best I can zoom in right now.
Okay. Look at that on the left side. Yeah, that thing right there, the heat sink on the left. Big MOSFET, multiple channels or something?
I don't know.
Wireless? Can't be wireless.
No, it's not wireless, but what I found interesting is the plug they're using for it too.
Yeah, you big old USB-B.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't mind that. It's kind of what printers have used, and it's okay to keep using that on 3D printers, I suppose.
Yeah. It's interesting when you look at it. Like, it's interesting board and everything else, what they're offering, but it's still, once again, it's an ANET. How safe is it?
Yeah, yeah, we'll have to see. At least I've been listening to people.
Yeah. Like I would like to get my hands on just an ANET just for some tests I want to do and talk about safety precautions with the ANET A8, but I don't like to get my hands on one of those babies would be great. And then we can put it through this test and see how it works.
I wonder how, or Hill
Well,
CT
Corey,
says his A8 shipped with Marlin. That's
yeah, I was
interesting.
just gonna put that up as
They
you were
might be
just
different
saying it.
versions. Who knows?
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I would be really, really curious to see that. I'm not the most outspoken person, but I have been fairly outspoken about um, the poor firmware design on a lot of printers, especially the A8s and some Creality ones that have thermal protection turned off. Like
Yeah.
that should never be a thing. It should never be turned off by default from a factory. It's
Yeah.
there for a reason in the firmware. They put it in to prevent fires like this. Now, granted, it doesn't catch every sort of thermal issue, but it catches a lot of them. So, yeah, beating a dead horse. Yeah, he's absolutely right. At this
I
point,
like Heathcliff's line. I bet it will
so
shit with
so
him
much
too.
ink has been spilled over this on the interwebble blogosphere. I won't go into that.
No, we're not going to get into that. I want to keep this stream as rant free as possible right now. Because what's happened over the last couple hours alone has just been blowing up, and you weren't around, so I'm not going to talk about it here. I'll tell you at the end of the stream tonight what happened. But oh yeah,
Okay.
lots of drama. But yeah, it's just been insane amount of stuff. So, anything new going on with you, my friend, by chance?
Well, a couple interesting things. I'm just catching up on the everything in the chat. There's yeah, a little bit of drama or something. Okay. Yeah, a little bit new with me. Right next to me, I've got here one of my printers that I've been building. As you can see, it's got that Core XYT mechanism. I have
Yeah,
also
Core XYT blue. Blue. What's his face away? Oh, Bill.
Bill, yeah,
Steele.
he liked that.
He loved it. He showed it to everybody.
Yeah.
Even E3D looked at it and was like,
oh. Yeah, the other version of Core XY that I have been working on is Core YX, which I actually have that with me too here. Come to think of it, you guys saw that. That was at Earth.
Oops.
That particular one is still being worked on right behind me on the floor. Let me see if I can. There it is.
Ah, yes.
Upside down and in the middle of some teardowns and mods and things. So that should be moving any day now. I hope to have it fully moving by Tuesday so I can give it to its owner and builder and machinist at my 3D printing class. So,
well, I got something to run by you, and maybe you could add some flames to this. I've already kind of figured out. It might be two options that's going on with my printer. Now, the CR10 does heat up. It goes up to 200, then goes to 205, drops to 295. Sorry, to 195.
195.
And then goes back up and down, up and down.
Interesting. Do you have Repetier host installed on your computer?
Pardon me?
Do you have Repetier host?
No, I don't. I haven't done that yet. I'm thinking either two things. I mean, only two things. One, it could be MOSFET. Two, it could be power supply.
Could be power supply.
A third one, which I think is highly unlikely, there's something going on in the board itself.
sounds to me like a pretty typical underdamped pit loop. So if you crunch the numbers, and well, the equations really, that it's a differential equation governing the control scheme that people have dubbed PID because there are three terms in it: a proportional term, an integral term, and a derivative term. Very small changes in that can have very weird impacts on the real life behavior of the variable that it's outputting. So that behavior sounds to me like it's something called underdamped, and you see this in a lot of electrical circuits that have too much stored energy between the say like a capacitive and an inductive load, and then not enough resistance in between to damp it down, and you'll get pushback back and forth between inductive and capacitive storage in the circuits, and it'll just ring back and forth, dong, 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 without a resistor to slap it down.
Yeah.
That happens sometimes in electric motor circuits. That happens in a lot of communication stuff. And that happens in a lot of control systems, like for robots and things, when you're doing motion. It's called hunting. Actually, I've seen that in some servo stuff. If the gain is set a little too high and it aggressively searches for the point that it's trying to reach, the servo will bounce around it and not actually settle on it because of how the variables are interplaying.
Yeah, and that's what made me think of when I saw that's doing it. I'm like, I want to put it towards, it could be a MOSFET issue, which is one of the thoughts in my mind. But if the MOSFET is giving it enough power and overpowering it,
yeah,
could it
if
be
the
a
MOSFET
MOSFET?
has enough throughput to heat it over its target temperature, I don't think it's a MOSFET issue. Sounds like PID behavior to me.
Okay, so should
The
I just
way I
run?
always troubleshoot these is I hook the printer up to repetitor host via USB, and then you can watch all of the heater cycles. You can see bang bang or PID or the average duty cycle, and you can see a running average of the temperature, and you can see power spiking in real time and how much it's lagging behind the send, stuff like that. It's really useful for narrowing heater issues down to being a PID loop problem, and if so, which PID loop problem, and an electrical issue, one of the two.
Yeah, so I'm going to take it down to a makerspace, which I know that's down here in the Kitchener-Waterloo area. We're just going to hammer that thing and just see if we can figure this out.
Mm-hmm.
Because it sounds like you said, it does sound like that. But I'm just wondering if there is something else going on that I'm not aware of, that they'll just go, oh, I've seen this before. Here's what we got to do to fix it.
Mm-hmm.
Because it might be something else that's interfering with something else and leads to here's where the problem is,
Well, here's something. Was this behavior happening without the layer cooling fan on?
No.
It's happening with the cooling fan on too?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I even
Sometimes,
turned off, I even stopped the fan that keeps your hot end hot, the cold end cold. Turned off, I disconnected that fan to see if that made a difference. Didn't make a difference.
so with both fans on, it did it. With only the heat or the cold end fan on, it did it. And with both fans off, it did it.
Yep.
All three ways. One way you might see that sort of issue happening is if the hot end was tuned at a higher temperature, or if the hot end was the PID loop was tuned for the constant loss of when you have a cooling fan on. That's akin to the resistive load in a RLC circuit, or basically what happens is when you run that PID loop with those constants at a lower temperature, it has more aggressive response because it knows, well, it thinks that it needs more juice than it actually does, because the average draw you're going to be searching for is higher if you have a cooling fan on or you tune it to a higher temp, or both. So that's why I asked if the cooling fan was off when these happen, because it's possible that these values were tuned. I have seen this happen before, where the values are tuned for a higher current draw situation, whether that be more airflow or a higher temp, and then it exhibits instability and under damping. It bounces around the target temperature when it's at a lower temp or the fan's off.
Yeah, I know what you're saying, because it's like I've troubleshoot this thing like 5 ways Sunday. It's like, oh. Because I've done the PID tune, and that's the funny thing is that I've done the PID tunes a couple times just to limit, like, is it something I'm doing wrong in the PID, or? But it keeps on coming out. I put in new numbers, it heats up, and then all of a sudden it just does, and then it goes over once it hits the 200 mark.
Yeah. Yeah, I would check with repeat your host's temperature and duty cycle readouts to troubleshoot PID problems like this. For example, if you have an issue that's caused by underdamping, like I mentioned, you'll see a very characteristic matching sinusoidal pattern in the duty cycle and the temperature, because of just the P and the I variables are talking past each other, basically. On the other hand, if you have a lag time issue where it would be fine, except that there's a specific delay, of course there's a delay in how much time it takes for the heat from the heater cartridge to reach the thermistor through the block, and then for that signal to get sent back to the firmware. If that delay happens to be just right, some multiple of a particular number that comes out of the differential equation, so eigenvalues and things.
We had a question here for you, by the way.
It can behave weirdly. Yeah.
This came in from Iron Joe. He says, what's your thoughts on supporting the mortar shaft ends with bearings? I have done this on all my printers with good results.
I've got one other quick one. I'll get back to that because that's a really good question, and actually I have quite a bit to say on that.
Okay.
D here has a question. I have seen overshoots when someone installs a 12-volt heater in a 24-volt system. Yes, that is totally true. I've done that myself once as well. Now, this is a potentially dangerous issue because remember, V equals IR, voltage equals resistance times the current. Sorry, V. Yeah. All right. Never mind.
Yeah, you had it right. I was like going.
Yeah, I was like, is it V over R? I over R. Yeah, no, right.
Yes, I over R.
I over R. Yeah. I was like, I do this every day for my job. How am I forgetting this right now? Yeah, I over R. Silly me. Anyway, where was I going with this? That's right. Power equals voltage times current. If you put a 12-volt resistive element, or basically an element with 12-volt reactivity into a system that supplies it with 24 volts, it's going to not only draw twice the current, but it's going to do so at twice the voltage, which means you're going to have quadruple the power going through this poor little heater that was never designed for this. So if it's a little like a Light 6 heater that's 25 watts, it's going to be drawing 100. It is not designed for that. If it's a 30-watt heater for normal V6, it's going to be drawing 120. If it's a 40-watt heater, God forbid, like for a volcano, it's going to be drawing 160 watts. And that is a lot of current. There are heated beds that draw less than that, guys. That's a lot of power to cram through a little resistive heating element like that. That's not safe. It might withstand it for a little while, but
so it quadruples the amount it needs?
It quadruples the amount of power being sent through it. So the heat up curve will be way steep, like way steeper than it's anticipated. So every time it sends even just a tiny bit of power to it, it's just going to totally overshoot because it's underdamped. The curve's leading edge is going to be way steeper than the PID loop is planning for.
Okay. Well, let's throw another direction into this, because someone said, what if the heater cartridge I received was not the 12 volt, but was a 24 volt. Would I notice anything weird that would that cause that too?
Yes, if it goes the other way around, luckily you're actually going to be very safe. If you have a heater cartridge that was designed for 24 volts and you put it in a 12 volt system, it's not going to heat up to infinity and then smoke and blow up. All that's going to happen is that it's going to draw 1/4 of the power. So unfortunately, 1/4 of the power won't get you very far. If you were to take a look at the duty cycle of an average, say 30-watt heater cartridge, just kind of idling along or extruding very slowly, you'll see it might be drawing somewhere between 10 and 20 watts usually, like under normal usage. As long as you're not maxing your hot end out or printing particularly fast or blowing a lot of air around it. Now, what that means is if you take that same heater cartridge, one that's designed for a 24 volt system, and you plug it into 12, and it's only drawing 1/4 of that, the maximum power that can be sent to a 30-watt cartridge can be 7.5 watts. It's barely going to even hit temperature at full throttle, pedal to the metal. Like, it's not even going to hit target temp, which means it's just going to throw um, a thermal runaway error, usually just saying, hey, I can't get up to temp, something is wrong, I exceeded my time limits, and something isn't heating correctly. Most firmware will throw an exception there. Now, if you were to have, say, like a 40-watt heater cartridge, say you're running a Volcano, and you have that 40-watt cartridge for a 24-volt system, and you plug it into a 12-volt system, it'll be drawing 10 watts. 10 watts might be enough. Yeah, that'll heat it up to target temp, but as soon as you start extruding with any kind of speed, yeah, that'll wick the rest of the heat out of the block, and then that heater won't be able to keep up. So then it'll throw a thermal runaway issue after you start printing. So a Volcano would probably be fine until you actually start printing. It just won't be able to supply enough wattage because the internal resistance is too high for the voltage you're supplying to cram enough current through.
Yeah, well, that makes sense.
Makes sense? So it's safe. It just won't get you anywhere. That's really all.
Well, I've already tried printing with that, with the printer cartridge. It worked great. I was able to get a print off, but wasn't able to run it for a long period of time for a print because it'll just go and say thermal runaway error. So it's like, okay, something's going on with that heater, something's going on in the board. So I got to figure that out.
If it had the ability to overshoot, it sounds to me like that's probably not the error. Because if that were the error, you would see a very slow temperature rise, and it would have a tough time even getting there.
Yeah, that's why I wanted to ask, because you said quadruple it, and I thought, okay, well, what if it's only a 12? What I see in smoke or anything like that, that would trigger it.
Right.
So going on to the bearing issue, what's your idea
the bearing
about
question.
bearing?
You want to pop that back up on the screen so people can see?
Sure. It's way. It was asked me in the beginning. I said if it works, I say go for it. I'm not sure on the bearing itself it would have any problem with that, because I'm not really familiar with bearings of what he was looking at exactly. I haven't messed with bearings in a printer yet, as of yet. So
right. I do a fair amount of stuff with bearings. I mean, I design and make electric motors. There it is. At my job, I do electric motors. So I actually have a bit of insight on how that works, what you're really trying to do when you've got these motor shafts and various types of loading on the ends, whether that be a radial or a axial or a vibrational load or whatever types of load you're trying to drive. And here for a printer, actually, it makes a lot of sense. Here's an example, rather an extreme one, but this might be interesting to you guys. So do you remember when Jacob was on the show a while back, we talked about, what was it, a Leapfrog printer. Remember that Leapfrog XL, I think it was? That was an interesting piece of tech. Yeah, I'll use the word tech. I would rather use a different word, but all the pieces are like double-sided taped together, and there were just weird bolt sizes and bad layouts and lineups. The worst piece of it, though, to me was this. No, I should say the second worst piece, because there was a even graver sin somewhere else in the design. But the second worst thing in the design, no, there were two other. Now that I'm thinking about it, there were a lot of issues with that design. The third worst thing about that design was the fact that it broke motor shafts. And that should tell you a bit about how bad the design was if it was breaking motor shafts, and I only call that the third worst thing. So what they did was this. Okay, so you've got your typical like NEMA 17 stepper motor, right? And they use a really long stack version of it that's like this big because it has a lot of mass to throw around. And they would take their motor drive pulley. I got one on here, and instead of like most of us where it'll be, you know, maybe centered in the shaft, or even better, it would be flipped around so that like this here, it's right on top of the motor, meaning that it doesn't have a whole lot of leverage, right, to be able to crank that motor shaft very far. You know what I mean? Instead, they had this poor little motor with this pulley mounted so far off the edge, the belt is actually off the end of the steel shaft. Not only that, but they had no adjustable belt tensions, not really. So the belts are way too tight, and it was also kind of necessary because it was throwing around a lot of mass, and their accelerations were kind of ambitious, shall we say. So high belt tensions, high oscillating masses, and it's cantilevered off the end of this thing with the lever arm so high it's even longer than the actual shaft. Leapfrog said, basically treat your motors like consumables. That should never happen, ever. That should not be a thing. Like, you should not have to treat your motors like you're gonna wear them up and use them up and have to throw them out because it's snapping shafts in the middle of prints. Like, that should not ever be an issue. Due to metal fatigue on that little bitty 5mm steel shaft, cranking back and forth, you know, with the force changing direction all the time, it just snapped off the metal at the base. Now, if they had followed better design principles and had you know, some kind of adjustable tension, better lineups, so that the belt was somewhere on the shaft, or preferably right at the base, they wouldn't have had this massive lever arm, moment arm, just grabbing your motor shaft and snapping it off. Yeah, this is actually one of those motors here that was rescued. I can see little traces of double-sided tape on it. That's a pretty big motor compared to, like, you know, most of them. You can see pretty big double stack. So anyway, if you've got bearings and they're pressed into like a printed part, yeah, it might have a little bit of misalignment, it'll settle in, and it might have a little bit of side force, but it'll settle in. It's probably less load, way less load than those poor Leapfrog motors were undergoing through belt tension alone. So yeah, if you take care to align everything, and ideally you let the bearing align where your motor goes in, you know, you put the belt around the thing, you press it in the bearing, and then you tighten it down after, you'll be fine. It won't cause any issues, and it could potentially prevent issues. It's not like the motor's tippiness or the bending of that shaft is a particularly large source of oscillation in the grand scheme of a printer. It's almost negligible. But having a shaft be in dual shear is what they call it in engineering, where you've got a support like a bearing on both sides of your load, i.e. the belt tension on the pulley. It will increase stiffness a bit, and it will reduce the amount of load on those bearings if they're correctly aligned. That's the caveat. So that's my 2 cents on that. If you've got the room for it, you know, might as well. It's not going to hurt anything, and if you have the budget for a couple extra, you know, $1 bearings, whatever, yeah, it could help your design.
No, that makes a lot of sense. I mean, to have, like we were talking about the bearing being, often. I was just thinking to myself, wouldn't that destroy the actual motor inside too?
Um,
Bits inside?
sometimes some of the bearings get a little crunchy, but really the motor shaft will generally break due to wear um, and failure cycles before any kind of like bearing alignment issues would, or I don't know, anything internal in the stepper motor would really go. It's just such a weird failure mode for a stepper motor, for it to be cranked on with such a long lever arm, and yeah, it's just a weird failure mode.
Now, just keep in mind, you also said that there are actual stepper motors that actually have the rod built into them. You're talking about beforehand.
What do you mean by that?
Well, that have the threaded rod already built into the actual stepper
Oh,
motor itself.
yeah. Yes, there are stepper motors that in the Nina 17 package or form factor, instead of using crunchy ball bearings for Cocoa Puffs. Please don't go there. Ball bearings should never be crunchy. Oh, I've seen things at my job, ball bearings that have been put through things that ball bearings should have never been put through. It's horrifying. But
I know that. I've seen it myself,
yeah.
being an auto mechanic.
So the shaft inside most of these motors is 5 millimeters. It goes straight through bearings with an ID of 5 millimeters on both sides. All you have to do is increase the size of your core a little bit. Laminations are just sized a little differently, yada yada, and you can use an 8 millimeter shaft through it instead. Now, basically, when they press in a lead screw instead of an 8 millimeter solid shaft, that's when you get a lead screw motor. However, I have seen some, and they're not as common, but I've seen some with 5 millimeter shafts and other weird sizes like 6.35. Or that's not a metric size, isn't it? That's actually an inch fraction. Anyway,
that's a fraction, yeah.
Yeah, quarter inch, isn't it?
So that would be imperial.
Yeah, that's imperial.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's not as common, but it has happened. Yeah, if people need it for their thing, well, stepper motor companies will make it and sell it. They want money, so.
Yep. But oh man, yeah, the adventures in 3D printing I've had this week have been less than spectacular. Like, I'm just looking at a print right now, and I don't know what Kira was thinking, but it actually made this print almost unusable. Holy crow! I don't know what I was thinking on the top layer. I mean, look at that under extrusion you had right there.
That's not looking good.
No, I gotta figure out what the heck happened there.
Is that Cura 4?
No, it's Cura
3.4.1.
It's the one before 4.0.
Okay.
It's 3.8, 3.9 something.
Oh,
yeah, it's one of the better ones. I heard after 4 they really
3.8, 3.9. Yeah, that should be fine.
They really goofed it up.
I
learned
4. Yeah.
Learned something in design that I never learned before.
Yeah.
Keyholes are a pain to design.
They are.
I did that in Cura. Not in Cura, in Tinkercad. Made that keyhole. That took me forever to figure out.
That'd be a pain. It's not so bad in parametric modeling. If you can inset planes into your surface, it's not quite as bad.
How is it
just two features? But yeah, Tinkercad, that would be a pain in the butt.
Now, because I know that you run with Fusion 360. I
use some Fusion 360, although I prefer Autodesk Inventor, and that's actually what I use at my job as well.
Okay. How hard is it to take from Fusion or Autodesk from Inventor and put that into, say, a design? Is it a lot easier on Inventor? Or
it can be. It's certainly more powerful than like Tinkercad. Now, more options means two things. There are more ways to approach a problem, and one of those ways is bound to be really quick. If you study the theory of it.
Yeah.
The corollary is that there are also more ways to screw it up.
I was just about to say,
There are more ways to get
there's
lost.
an easier way, and then there's the wrong way.
Yes. So that's the downside of big, powerful, heavy hitting software like Inventor or SolidWorks, whatever.
Yeah. So, what do you think of now? I haven't told anybody, but I'm not going to be able to go to Earth this year.
Mm.
The reason for Earth is it falls on the Canadian version of Thanksgiving.
Oh, is it really?
Yeah.
I didn't know. They probably didn't think about that.
Yeah. Right in, I believe we have it on the. Let me see if I can pull up Earth's
Yeah.
information again.
What is Canadian
ERRF.
Thanksgiving?
If you type it in Google, it'll tell you. They're doing it from the 12th to the 13th, and I believe, looking at my calendar right now, I'm just going to go ahead to
October 14th, Monday.
yeah, Monday.
Yeah, you wouldn't be back home by then, would you?
No, I would not be home. So
Well,
yeah, I kind of looked at the dates and I didn't think about it before. Then went, oh right, it's in October. I better go check my information. Scroll down, boom, Thanksgiving. I'm like, that's when I see all of my family again. So it's like, yeah, nope, can't go.
bummer.
Yeah,
Bummer.
it sucks, but I bet they didn't take that into consideration.
I bet you they didn't. I wonder if they need a more thorough calendar, or maybe there was some other issues popping up like that forced their hand. You know what I mean? Like if that was the open weekend at that.
I suggested August because I'm like thinking to myself, August would be a good time.
I like the summer months. Yeah, August is good because students are off, right?
Yeah,
it's easier for families to make trips and things.
Yeah, second week of August, I said would have been a great time for them to do it, but I guess because all the kids come in like third week of August, and I can understand September not doing it at all. So, but they decide on that. It's like, yeah, I can't make it.
Yeah, Sarah, we can have Luke.
Yeah. I love D's line right
Luke,
here.
D says to a maker, what is more important? Yeah, priorities, guys. Listen, are you gonna go stick with your family, or are you gonna come to Earth with us, man? Priorities, dude.
Family comes first, man. Family always comes first.
No, I can't fault you for that. Family's got to come first.
Yeah. Now, what about you? Are you going to go to Earth this year?
Oh yeah, I'll be there.
Congrats. Yeah.
Already seeing everybody.
Yeah, I would love to go to Earth. Like, don't get me wrong, but it's just a bad timing this year.
Yeah.
About just to give you some information, when Canada was formed and everything else, they decided we had our winters come a lot faster than in the US do. So that would be our Thanksgiving would be around that time. Now, granted, global warming has changed that immensely. We now have winters where we don't even have snow until sometime in January, which is odd, very odd. It's hard waking up on Christmas Day and you see green outside your window.
Yeah, that is weird for even down here in Minnesota. It's
Same, man. I skip Christmas.
You'd skip Christmas. Oh yeah.
Oh man, you
got the priorities in order here.
No, I'd like to go, but this year, no, I wouldn't be able to do it. Yeah. I wish I could, guys. I wish, because it takes 2 days for us to drive all the way down to Maine. Now, if I could grow wings and fly, yes, I would fly down myself. Just I think carrying the printer would weigh me down just a little bit. But I think I could make it.
Yeah. You want to send Luke an invite to, or either this one or next?
I did send him an invite. He hasn't come in.
Send him an invite. So. Good. He and I have been chatting about some cool projects that we might get to for, well, maybe not this Earth, but we'll at least be brainstorming for it. Maybe next Murph. I don't know. One of these days soon we're going to get to this because we have some.
I am actually thinking of, there was another option I had in my mind, and I believe you'll be going, ooh, tearing apart the CR10 altogether and turning it into a Core XY instead, or to a DBOT format.
it's got a bunch of components in it. That's an interesting thought. How many V
Mm-hmm.
wheels does it have? It's got one,
What do you
two,
mean V
three,
wheels?
4, 5. Yeah,
3 on the bottom, 3 on the so you got 6 under on the carriage,
6. Yeah,
and you got 3 on the actual extruder.
12, 12 all in all. Then
Yeah, I would say so. Oh, wait a minute, no, because then there's
right,
3 on
6 on
the side
Z,
of
3 on
the
Y, 3 on X.
yeah. So on X there would be 6, and 3 would be on the extruder. So that would be X has 3. Um,
Extruder side has 3.
Y has
Other side is
6.
3, and Y is 3.
So Z would have 3. Would have 6.
Yeah, so 12 all in all.
Yeah.
Yeah, you should be able to do something neat with that. If you could combine that and the Tronxy parts, I think that would be enough to get you the motion components of like a D-Bot.
Yeah.
That'd be fun. It's got a nice big bed.
Yep. 300 by 300.
That's a good sized D-Bot bed.
Mm-hmm.
Little bit more extrusion and you'd be good. You got a control board, you got electronics, motors, but you'll need belts. I think it's got enough pulleys and there's between the two of them. Yeah, you could scrap together a D-Bot probably.
Yeah, I just have to go over to open source and just order some open. Now, would I want to go 1010 or would I want to go 2020? Would you think, or 2010? I should say.
For the rails,
Yeah,
2040 probably.
2040. Okay.
Mhm. Most of what you've got in the CR10 would be usable.
Yeah.
So you wouldn't have to order much. But you'd probably need to order a little bit.
Yeah, I would have to order a fair bit, actually, I think.
Well, between the CR10 and I suppose you wouldn't get much out of the Tronxy.
Yeah. I'd also have to order some ball bearings, some ball screws to support the bed.
Probably.
But it would be an interesting build to get you and me involved and just try to figure this out. Even if it is like a live stream and we just don't stream to everyone else, it's just us two working on it. I'm just doing all the stuff and you do the programming.
Mm-hmm. Hello,
I have all
Birdman.
the parts here.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oddsball's got a question. Tronxy 40 millimeters versus CR10 40 millimeters. I'm not sure what you mean by that. Could you elucidate on that a little more?
Oh, here we go. D got some information.
Yeah. D says he's running 2020 on his 300 by 300 by 450 Hypercube. Yeah. Me being an engineer, I wouldn't. That's probably the size where I'd bump up to 2040. I'm used to overbuilding things a little bit. But 2020 can be good if your corners are good. The corners are usually the limiting factor. So if you've got good gusset plates, yeah.
See, I have the Troxy X1. It's what Daniel's referring to. And the Troxy X1, as even Making with Luke will tell you, it's a piece of bleh.
Yeah, it's an interesting machine. Although Luke has done some pretty interesting stuff with his.
Yep.
Has pushed it way beyond what it was ever supposed to be. I mean, it's just ludicrous how far he's taking this thing. It's so cool.
Yeah, okay. I'll just put up some more information here. I'll show you here.
Yeah. Oh, that
Troxy
would be
40 by 40 by 40 versus a CR10.
if you were to max them out a CR10 S4 versus like a Tronxy X1 cantilever. Both could be made to work. Anything can be made to work as long as you slow it down enough. Mm-hmm. Really, that's the thing.
But faster is better. Even you said that.
Faster is better, but to make the architecture appropriate, sometimes you need to beef it up to levels that are a bit silly. Cantilevers get a little funky. at really, really large sizes. So
And everybody, welcome Luke from Making with Luke. It actually came into our stream, and he's actually, being with us today.
I decided I had to. Daniel started talking about the projects. And
yeah,
I was gonna go to bed early tonight, and I'm like, what do I have to do tomorrow?
What's this thing called bed?
I know, right? I got
sleep
a little bit
for the week.
Right, I know, yeah.
So there we are. We got all three of us in the window there.
All right, whole gang's here then.
Yeah. So let's talk about your latest video you just put out, Luke. I just noticed it a couple of days ago. Really good job of talking about the taking the Troxy X1 and turning it into a weird long ass beast of a printer.
It's a good description of it, yeah. Yeah, basically, so I just kind of been procrastinating making this video about like the little, because I know that people probably wanted to build something similar, but they might get caught up in the specifics and the hurdles of building a printer. So I just thought that I'd make a little explanation video, and it wasn't meant to be like exciting or anything, just technical.
Yeah, hang on, Luke. Are you having a hard time hearing him too?
Yeah, it seems a little soft. I can hear.
You might want to turn up your volume on your microphone just a little bit, because you're coming in and then you fade out immediately out again.
My nickname should just be like Audio Trouble Luke. This was happening last time too.
Click on your volume control, right click on it, and then you can go in the mixer settings inside Windows, and you should be able to see what's going on.
Okay.
Yeah, but I remember when I was like looking at building this, like when I bought my CR10 and looking at the bed and everything else, went that is moving a lot of metal and everything else. And I thought to myself, well, what if you could standardize it? And I didn't know about the idea versus like what we have now compared to, like rail cores and everything else that I was looking at the time, because rail cores were just way too expensive. Yeah, hopefully we can look up. Go ahead. I think Daniel's helping me.
There we go.
Okay. Can you hear a bit better now?
Yeah, we can.
Awesome.
Yeah. Sounds good now.
Am I too loud?
Nope, you're perfect.
Sounds great. So yeah, one day I'll get a proper webcam and stuff. But right now I'm going.
We should just mail them one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There we go, guys. That's going to be the new goal. And Streamlabs, if you guys want to support us via Streamlabs, right there, we will spend that money and see if we can get Luke a better mic.
Everybody will benefit from this investment.
Yeah, it's in you guys' interest.
Shameless plug.
Yeah, right. How can I see the everyone else's chat? Should I go through YouTube to see that? Or
yeah, you'd have to pull up the YouTube chat.
Yeah, I pull up a YouTube.
I just do the pop out chat.
Yeah, and then just mute it. Or the pop out chat works too.
Yeah. And my question for you guys: what do you think about this stream so far? Like with using StreamYards, what's your feeling, Daniel?
I like this format quite a bit. I
like it too.
Yeah, it seems very streamlined. No pun
intended. So, would you guys rather this to be this way for now on, or?
I prefer it. Yeah, it's.
Oh, this is cool. If we get our heads aligned, it's like mirrored, so I have to. There.
Yeah, you can easily punch Luke if you want to. He's on your side.
No, wait, other way.
Yeah, there you
go. Yeah, Ron, high five.
Bump. Okay. Oh,
right. No, other way.
No, it's the other way. Okay.
There. This will take some getting used to.
Yeah, so the reason we did this is I was looking at something better than, because I know that, yes, sure, Google is getting rid of the idea of doing a Hangout soon. So I wanted to look at something else that we could use to plug into Google. And this one was the most easiest to plug into it. So hopefully within the next few months, I'll be able to buy a full version. And that StreamYard icon you're seeing up there is going to be gone. I'll be doing some changes to the look of this, So anyways, we should plug Luke's channel since Luke is with us and can talk a little bit about his build. Luke, if you want to talk a little bit about your new build that you just did, or the video you just did, I should say.
Yeah, the video. Yeah, it's it's just a good explanation. I talk about a few of the little nuances of building that printer. Like I say in the video, it's like really not a hard build. It's just, you know, getting down and doing it. You have to have a few specialized parts and things like that. You can go check out the video if you're interested in having like a really big, cost-effective build volume. I would highly recommend it, but there's not a terrible amount to say about it. It's one of the simpler builds.
Yeah, I'm just pulling up your channel right now so people can easily subscribe to it. So if you're not subscribed to Making with Luke, what's wrong with you? I don't know why you wouldn't be subscribed to him. He's a cool kid, got a lot of new knowledge out there. And if you want, there's his link right now. We're going to show it to you. Have you got your name just to say Making with Luke? So it's just youtube.com/Making with Luke.
Should I do that? Is that what you said? Like put my name in there?
That's what I'm asking. Like if you set that up yet or not, because now you're over 1,000 subscribers. You can set up anything you want. Like for Canadian Maker Project, if you just type in youtube.com/Canadian Maker Project, just takes you right to my page.
Let me try that. I'm going to test that out 1 second.
We also have the Discord now. So if you guys want to join us on Discord, we have Discord where I even set up a Discord motion that says printer help, so that when we do this show every so often, the help desk can answer your questions right there.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that would be something that Dane will like, because then you can just answer questions right away, and then we'll just pull it into the show later.
Exactly. I love those segments. That's a lot of fun.
Yeah, and I know that if we start talking lead screws, well, that's it. We're done.
Lead screws or heater cycles or motion control algorithms or stepper drivers or there are a lot of those topics.
How about tool path?
Tool pathing. Oh, don't even get me started on tool pathing. So
We could be here all night, guys.
I'm kidding. Yeah, we'll be here. There's a lot of tool pathing.
Good night, everybody. We'll just leave it to Dane. He'll take over the stream.
Yeah. Leave the light on. Yeah.
But yeah, no, I know it's like tool pathing with you. It's just like, yeah, tool pathing.
Yeah, there's a lot to it.
Oh, there we go. Minnesota Maker. LOL.
Yeah.
That is one thing I love to get into. And, you know, since we were talking about it a couple weeks ago, it's been over a month, I think it was the last time we talked about it, was tool pathing, an idea of a printer that would have two heads working on both ends and then start printing a print and make it like that way. And you said there is something like that, but that is not open source and there's no way to get any information on that, correct?
Is that project Escher we were talking about?
In general, multi-head tool pathing, meaning generation of that type of G code, is much more complicated, like way more complicated than single head tool pathing. And as such, and because it's custom written to avoid collisions and things, that's where most of the complicated bits come in. And because it's so closely tied to the hardware that it's going to drive, and because the hardware that it would drive is also rather expensive hardware, for all those reasons together, it tends to be expensive tool pathing software. Like CAM that can do that, or tool pathing stuff for 3D printers, or I think there might even be a laser cutting type thing. That it's all expensive, like really expensive stuff that you and I wouldn't really need or want to spend that much money on, because it's usually, as I said, closely tied to like a specific hardware setup. So if you're not invested in that particular hardware setup, and why would we be? We can just build our own, you know. There isn't much point in paying for one of those tool pathing algorithms. Yeah.
On that,
we might get there.
On that, if we're talking about the right thing, and I didn't have like a big mental glitch here that made me think something else, but there's this cool thing. It was Daniel. Remember a few months back you sent me that on Instagram. I think it was on Instagram. It was that those two Scara arms that were working with those little mechanism wheels, and they were working cooperatively.
Yeah, that was very cool.
Yeah, so I actually did a bit more research on that earlier today, actually, and it's a company called Ambots. It's actually doing that, and I found a few of their articles that they published, some of their papers. I'm gonna send them you guys' way, but
Really?
it's really cool. It's called chunk-based slicer.
Send me all of them, all of the
I'll
everything
send
you
them right
found.
now.
I need all of it. All of it.
I'll get it over
Yeah.
to you. Right
Send it to to
That
put
is
it in the
awesome.
chat. I mean, everybody would like to look
Oh
at
yeah,
that,
sure,
honestly.
yeah.
Yeah, I just posted in the chat. I want to read everything you can find on these guys. That
Yeah,
was
it's really
stuff.
cool. And there's a lot of stuff here too. It's, really, really cool stuff. Because it's all about this cooperative swarm 3D printing, basically. That's what this company is working on primarily. But
Forget
it's
about those
really,
guys.
yeah, and it's really pretty much unknown, because the only place I actually found it was on Instagram, and then from there I had to do some more research. But, some really cool stuff. So when I put it into the chat on the right here, guys, will it go to everybody on YouTube?
Yeah, it will. It'll show up on all the chats on everybody's forum, and I will definitely make it a point. So I gotta go back and edit this anyways, like edit some text and information on this. So
I'm just pulling it up right now.
Now I'm looking for something here.
as they're all searching, let's make them all disappear. No, just kidding. There, now I take over the whole screen. No one can see. Yeah, I'm just kidding. No, I was gonna ask you a question actually about have you looked at the new Cura and the Creawesome mod that's out there, and if you had any thoughts of that?
I haven't yet. Have you messed with that at all, Luke?
The new Cura or just Creawesome?
The Creawesome plugin that
No,
they've done.
I saw someone. I think I saw the thumbnail for that video, for a video on that, but I didn't really.
Yeah.
I have a bunch of videos on it bookmarked.
Yeah.
For a rainy day, and I'll read about them, listen to them, whatever.
Yeah, apparently a lot of people said it works well, and a lot of people said, and my personal experience is it's just settings they just changed. Yeah, sure, the printers are in there, but does that make any big of difference? I don't know if I want to spend the time installing Creawesome and then find out, well, I could just type those configurations into Cura anyways and just have it do it. Or even better, go to Prusa Slicer and put
profiles. Yeah, because there are other slicers that have better toolpathing IMO.
Yeah.
Furthermore, really, any settings that you change in the slicers should take advantage of better firmware capabilities. Like the firmware on these things, it's not broken, but it's bad. The motion systems or the motion settings on these are by default from the factory just bizarre. Like they have X and Y maximum speed set to 500 millimeters per second. You cannot even get the CPU to spit out pulses at 500 millimeters per second. It's not possible electrically. Like, and then on the other axis that where this is possible, like the E axis, you could be having retraction speeds of 50, 60, 70, 80 millimeters a second. It's capped to 25. So no stock Ender 3 user has ever retracted at over 25 millimeters per second. It's just weird that they have these firmware set up the way they do. They really don't make a lot of sense. They just use motion settings imported from Marlin by default, and then they didn't ever do any engineering on them, I guess. The jerk and acceleration aren't too bad, but guys, really, you can do better than this, please.
Yeah. See, that's the funny thing, because I like Cura. Don't get me wrong. I like Cura's interface. It has a nice interface. But I'm actually pushing towards going to Slicer and going to Prusa Slicer. And I know that you're a big fan of Slicer, and I don't know how you feel about Prusa Slicer now that it's been rebranded.
Mm-hmm. I think it's all right. I have mixed feelings on rebranding it as his own product.
But they also did say that Slicer is no longer keeping up with it anymore.
Right.
So the community went bye-bye. for some apparent
kinda
reason. They
did.
just
So,
disappeared.
this is kind of their way of keeping it alive. I don't know. They're continuing in the footsteps of the original project. I guess I don't have too much of a problem with that. Progress marches on, I suppose.
But at
But
least now we can pronounce it properly.
yeah,
Now we're not all fighting saying it. Is it Slice 3R or Slick 3?
yes, Slice 3R. I will always say Slice 3R. Nobody will ever convince me that it's Slick 3R. No, or Slicer. No, it's too ambiguous. Slick 3R. No, it sounds wrong. Slice 3R. It's the happy middle ground that offends everybody, except me.
Yeah.
I'll
I
still call
always
it.
say it that way.
I'll just call it Slick 3R just to get you angry.
Yeah.
Oh, that was a funny thing on Instagram when it happened on Twitter. Me, Tinker, and a whole bunch of other people said, "What do we call it now? Now it's not weird, you know?"
Yeah, Bruce a Slicer. I guess that actually sounds okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And people, don't worry. I'm going to be posting links in the description at the end of the show, so you guys can have a look at this. And you guys can also see this these articles which Luke has posted to us. So unfortunately, went in the private chat, not the regular chat. So,
Mhm.
but Luke, anything? So you're working on the next video? You said you have coming out soon.
Yeah, I actually have that all edited. I'm ready to post it. Sometime
Is
next
this
week.
on the new printer that you acquired and disconnected everything out of?
Yes, I actually didn't, Daniel. I didn't get to tell you about this unless you saw it on my Instagram.
Yeah.
So my local college, they have a little makerspace there, and basically I've been going there a little while, and they have this. You know what the Up Mini printer is?
Yeah.
You might have seen Angus post about it. Maker's Muse. It's basically it's a proprietary printer. It has a proprietary board, proprietary software. Well, it broke down. This printer broke down that they gave to me, and they said, we know that you build printers and stuff, and they just gave it to me and said, if you can fix it, you can use it and all that. So I just put a RAM port in there because I'm cheap, and it's working right now. It's pretty cool because it's just it's just kind of like a cool hack together. Like it went against the whole proprietary thing, and now it's actually doing what I wanted to do. So it's kind of cool.
Sweet.
Yeah.
So are you going to now with this printer that you have now, since you're running an RAM board, have you ever thought of putting it could it support an SKR 32-bit board?
Oh yeah, yeah. It can support any board. It's just about how you.
There's enough room in there. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I was actually looking at those SKR boards. That looks like that could be the. I think me and Daniel were talking about what's going to happen first, the software for 32-bit or the hardware, and it looks like it's the perfect storm right now because Marlin 2 just came out, or it's officially supported, and this SKR board is acting like a really nice cheap option for a 32-bit board. And then once you have a 32-bit ecosystem, you can do so.
Yeah, and that's where I'm looking at going because I want to do some kind of neat stuff with the CR10, and since it still has excellent parts in it, I just want to take it to the next level.
Yeah, for sure.
And the CR10 is such a great build. I mean, I got the plate, I got everything else. It's just I got to figure out what I want to do with this machine, and it's just been sitting here idling, not doing nothing. And it's like the poor machine wants to be used, and I just haven't used it yet. It's like, ugh. Yeah. But I was looking maybe go with the SKR board, put in and hook up a Raspberry Pi. Maybe I'll go Raspberry Pi 4 with Clipper. Put Clipper in there and run it off of and run that like hardcore. And I know Clipper can run 32-bit with no problem. And I just wonder how Clipper would run on that.
Clipper's nice for if you have an 8-bit board, like a RAM board or something. And then Clipper acts like the 32-bit post processor. So that's kind of the nice thing about Clipper. I don't know if there'd be any advantage besides the Octoprint capabilities for using Clipper with an SKR board.
Yeah, I don't think there'd be much of an advantage to that because the board itself, not the Clipper running board, but the 3D printing board would be able to handle everything that Clipper's advantages come from. Yeah,
that's true. But I was just thinking, wouldn't it be interesting if Clipper adds more to it? But if it doesn't, then
mainly the Octoprint capabilities.
Yeah.
Daniel, I know you're a duet guy. What do you think about the the impending doom for Duet now that SPR is out.
I really like Duets.
Yeah.
I love the configurability through M codes. I love the power in the firmware that you have. It's just so moddable.
Oh,
Everything.
Duets? Yes.
It's so tweakable. Like it's crazy. I mean, you could do scripts and everything. Just at any point, you can have subroutines that run anytime. Like you can trigger them with anything. You can have the wackiest printer architectures run, easily. For example,
Very easily with the software. Yeah.
one of the issues that was run into with the Helios. Remember the Helios on a table bot, basically?
I couldn't forget
Was
about
what if you wanted to swap sides, or
Yeah.
one of the issues we had on our printers, or that we were thinking of doing, was like what if you had a printer that you wanted to switch modes, you wanted to have the arm reverse directions on like a Scara. You could have scripts that do that and handle that just behind the scenes in Duet without, so that's pretty nice.
Now, what would actually make that? Is it just the ease of use in the Duet software environment? Do you think it's something that was limited by 8-bit previously, and now it could be done on like Marlin?
Some of it is written into how the firmware is structured, and some of it is written into how it's implemented in the user interface, like how the user interface is implemented. So what I mean is some of it is hard coded, like it's fundamentally how the firmware is structured makes this able to happen, and some of it is like, they actually give you some tools and the ability to access some of these when setting up firmware in their nice little online configurator and things like that. So it's a combination of factors. And you can do this with Marlin. You can do this with other things. It's just way more involved. Like you have to actually do quite a bit of coding. I think Nick Seward did that multi-angle stuff, swapping between modes. I think he coded some of that for Marlin on his own, but it's all possible. But Duet makes it easy.
Nice. Do you think that there will still be? Do you think that eventually, because normally I know in business and marketing, one thing normally takes the lead. Do you think there will always be a place for Marlin, or do you think? How do you think the dynamics are going to play out there for which one will, if any, will take over?
Yeah, I think there will always be a place for Marlin, just because right now it is kind of the dominant 3D printer firmware in terms of units shipped. I mean, Creality is shipping 30,000 Ender 3s a month running Marlin. Just think about those numbers. It's staggering.
Well, the Ender 3 is such a kick-ass machine. Like, I mean,
for the money,
knock on wood, it performs better than any of my my CR10.
Yeah, I mean, it performs better than my printer bot did stock, like out of the box. Stock to stock, and for less than half the price 5 years ago. And it's got a build area that's 1 1/3 times bigger in every axis. It's great for the money. It's actually really great. It's got some bits that I complain about in the firmware not being set up with good motion control stuff, whatever, but it does work. It works fine. It works great for the money. And for printers like that, for budget stuff, I think Marlin will be kind of the default. And when 32-bit boards eventually take over, I don't know when that'll happen, but eventually Marlin will get, a little bit more bloated, a little bigger. What's the saying? What Intel giveth, Bill Gates taketh away. As Intel chips get more powerful, Windows gets more bloated. Well, up till about 7 and Vista that happened, but anyway, that kind of happens. We saw this sometimes with CR10s not having enough RAM to support both, linear advance and SD card saving, like constantly saving your position at the same time, or some other features that couldn't have 2 of those at the same time because it took too much RAM. You remember what I'm talking about? 32-bit boards and their ability to have a lot more memory addresses and that sort of thing will solve all those problems, but for a while, 8-bit will still be king in budget printers. But we'll get there. We'll get to 32-bit boards for pretty much everything. And once we get there, I think people who are familiar with Marlin, engineers who are familiar with designing for Marlin 2.0 by then, will just want to continue compiling Marlin 2.0 because it's not going to have the limitations with like step rate limits. It's not going to have the RAM limits, stuff like that. And it's going to have all the features you could reasonably need on a budget printer, right? Yeah. And then some. Where Duet is really winning right now, it's specifically the RepRap firmware that is so well tuned to Duets and other Arduino Do based boards. Where that wins is in the features that can be used in high-end printers. In a low-end printer, like with inexpensive hardware, sticking a Duet in it is kind of like throwing a big V8 in a, like a go-kart.
I was actually going to say putting a V8 inside a little Fiat.
Yeah, right. The handling characteristics and the tires and the suspension, that's what really limits your racing performance. It's not so much your horsepower, right? Yeah, you might get a little more out of these printers if you throw a Duet in them, but not that much more. That much money might be better spent towards tweaking some hardware components and things. Anyway, that's my 2 cents on that.
Can you put RepRap firmware on any 32-bit board?
Not every 32-bit board. Anything running a Arduino Do processor, yeah. I think there are some other ones, but I can't remember them off the top of my head. It's tuned for and built for the Arduino Do chipset. I think it works on some others, but that's really what it's made for. So,
So I'm just reading some stuff that was left on Luke's video. I'm talking with Laserman.
Mind if I share my screen for a bit? I want to try that.
Right ahead. Yeah, the ability should be the block with the big block, or you can use the multiple 2 heads, and then you should be able to add to stream. There you go.
How's that look? Ooh, we got some fractals here.
Yeah.
So y'all can see this.
Or we can just
sorry if that seems a little wide. I've got an extra wide monitor right now. But here's a post that I was looking at with Luke. A guy made, and this thing is massive. This is an industrial arm, SCARA arm. I think it's, what's the final size?
Resin printer? It was huge.
It's 700 by 700 by 1,000 millimeters. I mean, this thing is big. Look at that.
Insane.
It's insane. This hot end setup, that little bitty thing that my mouse is covering up, is, I think there's a picture of it under here somewhere.
It's in the comments.
Maybe not.
If you hit Control Plus, you can actually zoom in on the picture if you want to.
Yeah. Well, he's got a picture of it elsewhere. It's 2 Titan Aquas with volcano blocks on them.
Good God.
I know, right? How over the top is that?
That is way too over the top.
So yeah, there's some pretty crazy stuff you can do. SCARA is awesome. It has issues, don't get me wrong. It's not the be-all end-all of motion systems. It has a lot of issues like backlash and the need for a lot of speed capability to quickly navigate the internal radius and a lot of precision when you're at the external radius. So it does have a lot of issues, but it's still cool.
Well, anyways, guys,
it's cool because it's center point, they can print outside its build volume and like massive build volumes relative to the size of your machine. And for RepRaps, it's a really cool idea.
Yeah. Well, anyways, we should call this an end. Anyways, we're already pushing almost 11:30 my time, which is almost 10:30 your guys' time. So
yes,
it is being a little bit on the late side.
That is a bit on the late side. I need to pack lunch. I have to get up at 5 a.m. tomorrow. So
I'm just going to say thank you all for watching, everybody. So first of all, we're going to throw it over to Luke. Luke, it's your time to plug yourself.
Yeah, you can just check out here. Can I type it? All this fancy technology, I just don't quite understand.
There you go. There's your YouTube channel.
Sweet, thanks. Yep, check it out there if you want to see some videos that I post occasionally, and hopefully it'll be entertaining.
Yeah, you're crazy if you're not. There we go. Oh, sorry.
there we go.
The program is going cuckoo here. There we go. So if you're not following Luke, I don't know why you aren't, but that's besides the point.
You should be.
Anyway, yeah, you should be. My channel, of course, Canadian Maker Project. You're already signed to it, and if you're not hitting that sub button, what's wrong with you? Hit that sub button. We just lost 1 sub. I'm still 4 now. I'm 6 short of hitting 300. Come on, guys.
Did you gain some from the 3D printing professor?
I did, and then I lost them.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah, I know. It's pathetic. I'm like, come on, guys, sign up, subscribe, hit the subscribe button. You'll find more content like this coming more and more every day. Yeah. And also, don't forget to follow our friend here, Daniel, the techie filler.
That's right.
Who needs to start a YouTube channel, by the way?
I do. I really should. For now, you can find me on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, whatever is Techie Fiddler.
And here on my channel.
I'm on Facebook quite a bit. I'm on all of those quite a bit. You can ask me printer questions anytime. We can talk about those on our show. Or hey, if you find cool new projects and stuff, give me a shout out, tag me on Twitter, whatever. I love reading about the new hottest thing.
So with all that said, thank you everybody so much for watching. To the people that are still around, thank you so much for sticking around. And until next time, everybody, keep on printing and have fun.
Happy printing.
Happy printing, guys.